Okay, so hypothetically, if Mr. Beast Coin reaches a $10 billion market cap and everybody believes that it's permanently worth $10 billion because of Mr. Beast, right? And like he's like personally out there like every day, like Mr. Beast is the best coin, you know, whatever. If it actually reaches a $10 billion market cap in a perpetual way, would you not say that $10 billion of wealth has been created?
No, I would not say that.
Not a dividend.
It's a tale of two Quan.
Now, your losses are on someone else's balance sheet.
Generally speaking, airdrops are kind of pointless anyways.
Unnamed trading firms who are very involved.
I like that ETH is the ultimate Ponzi.
DeFi protocols are the antidote to this problem.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chopping Block. Every couple of weeks, the four of us get together and give the industry insider's perspective on the crypto topics of the day. So quick intros. First, we've got Tom, the DeFi maven and master of memes.
Hello.
Next, we've got Robert, the crypto connoisseur and czar of Superstate.
Good evening.
Then we've got Tarun, the gigabrain and grand poobah at Gauntlet.
Yo.
And finally, I'm Haseeb, the head hype man at Dragonfly. So we are early stage investors in crypto, but I want to caveat that nothing we say here is investment advice, legal advice, or even life advice. Please see choppingblock.xyz for more disclosures. So Uncle Robert, we had a lot of people yelling at us last week that your story about SLERF was not completely accurate. You claimed that SLERF was listed on Binance. It was never listed on Binance. And that was, I think, part of also your conspiracy about SLERF is that it was like listed, that it was
I might have gotten
centralized
which
exchange.
I might have gotten which exchange it was on incorrect.
It was,
okay.
I think it was Huobi, right? Because
Yeah.
Justin Sun was really shilling it.
There was a couple of exchanges that announced that they were going to be donating their trading fees. But
Yeah,
SLERF is now actually one of the highest liquidity meme coins on Solana. It has really come into a force on its own.
Yes, I was definitely incorrect when I said Binance. I used the term Binance to colloquially refer to all offshore exchanges, or many of them, and I used it as shorthand. So it was not listed on Binance in particular. I apologize to all of our
We're
listeners.
losing a lot of credibility with the meme coin crowd right now. We're really outing ourselves as meme coin boomers.
Yeah, I should have said Huobi.
Yeah, all right. It's okay. I just pulled it up on Deck Screener. So SLERF is in fact the number one token on chain by liquidity that is trending in the last 24 hours. It's got 90 million in volume in the last day. So it's number 3 by volume. So SLERF has really come into its own. It is now a force to be reckoned with. I guess, of course, a lot of that liquidity is because it's locked from the guy who burned
Is there a meme for like the opposite of stop trying to make fetch happen from Mean Girls? Like, hey, they made fetch happen, because that's what this feels like. You know what I mean?
It definitely, whatever it was, I don't know if it's I still doubt the conspiracy story, but if it was a conspiracy, it was an incredibly successful one, because I feel like we are going to be seeing SLERF for the next decade. Like at this point, it's kind of etched into
what was that meme
the
of like
of crypto?
The X could really change humanity. It's really amazing. You know, like the copy pasta meme that you sometimes see on Twitter of like, wow, this could really change humanity, blah, blah. Like it's like a thing from like the 2021 era. I saw so many SLERF versions of that.
Right.
Like
I think we have very different feeds on Twitter, because I'm not getting any SLERF content, unfortunately.
I do think I think a very funny episode would be for us to one day go through, have each person present their feed and we roast their feed.
You don't want to see my feed. My feed is like 40% chess, 55% crypto, 5% like East Asian street food.
East Asian.
Oh.
I did not think you were going to say street food. I thought you were going to say
wait. What type of street food?
I don't know, like people cooking in like large quantities. It's great.
People cooking in large quantities. So not like the food itself, like the cooking process?
Yeah.
Okay, like back scene at a restaurant, like just
that's right. Like, and if you go to my
Instagram,
my Instagram is 100% East Asian street food, like being cooked for some reason.
Okay,
like I liked it once, and like for whatever reason, the feed just kept on showing me stuff, and I follow 0 accounts, and if you follow 0 accounts, for you just becomes what the algorithm thinks you want. So if you watch something once and keep clicking, that's all you get.
Yeah. There is something weirdly intimate about seeing another man's feed.
Yeah, I don't want to see anyone else.
You exactly. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I think now that you've described that to me, I think I'm okay in seeing your feed.
Yeah.
But But so the other thing that was interesting this week, and I guess in the world of what were once serious coins are now meme coins. So we talked before about how the founder of Near Protocol, Ilya, is going to be speaking at GTC, which is the big NVIDIA developer conference. So he spoke on this panel with Jensen Huang, which of course was a catalyst for the Near token pumping. After speaking on that panel with Jensen Huang, there's a photo of Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, touching Ilya's arm. And so, some people took a picture of that. Haha, okay. So yesterday, Near, what presumably is the social media intern at Near, posted a tweet saying, last week, Near co-founder was touched on the arm by Jensen Huang, founder of NVIDIA.
Wait, we got to
show joined on stage by Near co-authors. And there's, pull this tweet out.
This is
1.2 million views. Tom, can you describe this picture for those of who can't see?
Jensen Huang looks like a loving father who is reconnected with his long lost son, and he is hunched over slightly onto panel chairs, touching Ilya, and Ilya is smiling at him knowingly. And it's a beautiful moment, and it's a beautiful tweet.
I mean, the replies and quote tweets are the best part about this one.
Yeah,
the copy finishes, learn about that touch and the intersection of AI and blockchain, and then it gives a link.
You know what photo it reminds me of, or you know what art it reminds me of? You know that painting of like God reaching out and touching Adam?
Mm.
You know, like when they're like in the
there were
clouds.
A few subtweets that were showing that. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, were there? That's what that
reminds me of. It kicked off a trend of people posting like other blockchain founders and famous people they were touched by. So it's been a very weird moment, I think.
This was definitely a 2017 thing. People like tried to get photos next to like Vitalik and be like, partnership confirmed, and this feels like we get a echo of that.
I definitely feel like I remember there was definitely an era of that where there would just be like some random person coming up to Vitalik, and there'd be like this stream of people coming up to just take a quick selfie, and 2 seconds later you would see it on a meme coin or like something like that.
ICO. Sorry, the word you're looking for is ICO. We didn't have meme coins in 2017.
We had ICO meme coins.
We had
your father's meme coins. Your father's meme coins.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We predated meme coin technology at that time. No one had invented a meme coin token yet.
That's not true. Dogecoin was the original.
Dogecoin, but it was not. Well, when was Dogecoin created? Actually, what is the history?
2013 or 14 or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'll quick Wikipedia this.
Okay. No, I remember mining Dogecoin because you could just do it on your computer. It was, no one was doing it. It was super cheap.
December 2013. So very close to what we predicted.
2013. Okay, fair enough.
Not so crazy.
But I guess meme coin as a category didn't exist, right? Dogecoin was a funny coin, but it was not a meme coin. In the same way that, Compound originally was a lending protocol, but then it was DeFi when the term DeFi was invented. And so I feel like we have entered into a very different era where today a shitcoin, you would just call it a meme coin.
That's true. If there's no project behind it besides the 30 seconds of effort that goes into finding a funny image as the token symbol and coming up with the name and the token symbol, then it's a meme coin.
So I was thinking about this yesterday about, the rise of on-chain volumes on Solana driven by the meme coin activity. And there's a trope that, so we've been long-time investors into exchanges at Dragonfly, and every cycle, we sort of have this working theory that every cycle there's the opportunity for some new meta, and that new meta allows a new exchange to fundamentally start to gain some market share. And, in the first, in the ICO boom, it was first, the rise of perps, and that allowed BitMEX to start to rise. Then BitMEX sort of fell, and then it was ICOs and Binance and all the crazy altcoins that exploded.
I think Binance was one particular thing that's worth keeping in mind, is that BitMEX was very maximalist about Bitcoin collateral as being part of the spec, and Binance was like, okay, you want to collateralize with Tron? It's okay, we don't care. We'll let you do Tron perp.
Well, but remember, Binance is fairly late to do derivatives. Yes, but Binance is very late.
Sorry, that's true. That's true. But Tron,
so they rose
the Tron
to
ICO
the top
Binance,
on spot.
Right? But yeah, you could only buy the Tron ICO on Binance, right? That was the
right. So they were the most aggressive in listing tokens, and that was very much a catalyst for the rise of Binance. And so the question is, okay, we're entering a new crypto cycle. where's the new exchange? Where's the new moment for an exchange to be able to be one step ahead on the meta or to be more aggressive? And it occurred to me that maybe that's Solana. Maybe Solana is that exchange. And you were thinking about it like this old meme of it's a moment for a centralized exchange to be able to gain real market share. But Solana is the first thing that we've really seen in terms of a DEX, quote unquote. You can think of like more or less all of Solana as one DEX. It's really the only thing we've seen that has anywhere near the scale of a centralized exchange in terms of the total amount of users, total amount of assets, total amount of volume that's going through it. And so it occurred to me like that may be the best explanation of what's happening in this Solana meme coin frenzy, is that Solana has basically become like this new emergent exchange because of the fact that they're the first to have all the hot meme coins.
Well, I wouldn't discount Ethereum and Uniswap and all of the things that are corollaries to Solana, but I agree with you. At this moment in time, Solana is the exchange platform of choice for retail.
So I guess you bring up a good point. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff happening besides just Solana, which brings us to one of the big news stories this week has been a tremendous amount of growth on BASE. So BASE, you might recall, it was the layer 2 that was built by Coinbase. We had Jesse Pollack on the show previously, who's one of the progenitors of the project. So BASE doesn't have a token. It's more or less the infrastructure is run by the Optimism Superchain. So they're an OP stack chain. And they've had tremendous growth on the chain just in the last couple of weeks. So they were one of the first to adopt EIP 4844, which allowed gas fees to go really low on the chain. But gas fees have spiked tremendously to the point where now it kind of looks like greater than pre 4844 congestion, not because blob storage is getting congested, but because the total amount of gas in demand on the chain itself is higher than the gas block limit. So I think they do 5 million gas limit or something. I can't remember. It was something like that for BASE per block. And that block limit is just getting pushed to the max because of all the amount of, I think mostly meme coin trading that's happening on top of BASE. So if you guys take a closer look at this and you know what's driving all this demand, and what's your guys' sense of what's happening on BASE?
So yeah, I think Tom and I were talking about this before. I will say it feels a little less organic in some ways than I think the Solana meme coin stuff was. Like, I mean, all these group chats that I was in suddenly lit up about like buying Aerodrome and buying like particular meme coins like all at the same time. So it did feel a little more like coordinated of a move. I don't know exactly what sustained it, but obviously having a bunch of tokens that went up quite significantly over that time period probably created a bunch of demand. I will say one interesting thing that, and this is more anecdotal evidence, but I do feel like a lot of the Solana meme coin traders were complaining about being unable to cross to BASE very easily. Like the bridging situation isn't particularly good between the two. And I think the user bases, because of that, might actually be somewhat disjoint. I need to actually go do more analysis to confirm that, but at least the anecdotal evidence is that the Solana meme coin people are like, BASE sucks. It's too hard to get to from, and we have our assets on Sol. So,
all right. So Tom, you've just thrown up some charts. Talk us through what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like what Tarun was saying.
Can you zoom in just so it's easy?
Yeah, it's going to scale well. So obviously there's been a huge spike recently. I think the interesting thing is that like it has actually sustained. Normally when you see these huge spikes, they kind of taper off and revert back to the mean. And here, at least for the past few days, it's been sustaining around 60,000 new users per day or 50,000 users per day. And that translates to like 230K actives. When you dig into what that most active contracts though, it's still like Uniswap, Aerodrome. And then on those, it's also trading meme coins. I mean, obviously people are also trading bridged USDC and things like that. So yeah, I'm a little bit, I guess, confused as like why now versus all time. Obviously there are some novel applications like Forecaster with DGen and there's a lot of dApps, including one of our portcos, Dracula, that's building with DGen as sort of their native currency. But yeah, it's not like, there's like a step in or Axie type of application that is like mass user attraction that's really driving people to the chain.
Is that good or is that bad? What would you prefer to have seen?
I'm just surprised because normally when you see like a big spike like this, I mean, especially here, it's like there's a particular thing that people are doing, whereas this just feels like, oh, generally speaking, this is very similar to kind of the meme coin trend that we've seen on Solana. It's happening on BASE in EVM land now.
And so, okay, implicitly by saying that, you're saying that like the fact that it's meme coins is driving people, that's bad. That's not what we want to see if we're assuming that there's going to be some.
I'm not judging the meme coins either way. It's more just surprising in the sense that normally
you're just surprised.
Yeah, like what is the catalyst, right? It's not like, oh, this thing launched and therefore we see this huge spike. It's just meme coin season.
Well, the real question is, can BASE be the new Solana?
I mean, not with fees getting as high as they've been.
My anecdotal evidence is that the Solana folks don't really want to move over. Like again, this is not. I haven't actually indexed the Solana to BASE bridge routes that people have been using, but I'm in some group chats with a bunch of people who are very big Solana meme coin people, and they were like, we bridged over, it was too slow, too expensive, and then they
but you only have to bridge once.
Well, I think the gas stuff, like, I think there's also just like a cultural difference of like the Solana meme coin people know a particular set of assets and things that are completely different from the BASE ones.
And all these pop-ups and waiting for confirmations, like, ugh.
Yeah. But it is kind of interesting to see some of the, I think Aerodrome is sort of like a alternative, kind of newer decentralized exchange model that has sort of like a different sort of liquidity incentive. And I feel like we're actually seeing some of those things be tested live a lot further than they have. So seeing that stuff has been good. And yeah, I guess that's explains also Aerodrome going up a lot.
Can you explain to me, as if I don't know anything about Aerodrome, how it differs from Uniswap?
The main difference, as far as I understand, is the liquidity incentives are sort of like paid out almost like a bond. So like the longer you lock up your liquidity, the better, the better your rewards are. But they also have a sort of thing where, I think there've been a lot of these bond-like mechanisms, but people kind of can't rebalance or like move across ticks very easily. And it facilitates doing that while not messing up this reward thing. It was originally called Solidly, which was made by Andre Cronje, and this was like a fork of it. And so Aerodrome just is like more, it's like easier for liquidity providers to be passive liquidity providers without doing too much extra effort. That at a high level, that's the thing that's interesting about it. But it wasn't clear that it would work when it needed the high enough scale, but it clearly has actually performed well. So. And that's also, I guess, the token reflects that too, to some extent. Because the token is tied to those incentives.
Makes sense. All right. Well, jumping back into news, speaking of DeFi, one interesting piece of news this week was that the DeFi Education Fund, alongside the Beba collection, have decided to sue the SEC. So the SEC has claimed that Beba's airdrops were securities transactions and that Beba's token, so Beba's some kind of apparel company that I guess did an airdrop and did something.
Well, it's actually the opposite. The SEC did not claim that Beba's airdrop was an issue. Beba proactively sought a court order stating that it's not a security. And it's a proactive lawsuit looking for clarity.
Oh, so they're demanding essentially a no action letter, or the equivalent of a no action letter from the SEC.
They are demanding the equivalent of a no action letter through the court process.
I see. Okay, interesting. So Beba wants to do an airdrop, has not done so, and is suing the SEC.
No, they did do an airdrop. They want to do a second airdrop.
Wait, they did an airdrop? Also, the craziest
how
thing
are you
to
correcting me then?
The craziest thing to me was like, I'd never heard of this thing. And I'm like, then I clicked their Twitter and it's like this Twitter with 95 users, 95 followers suing the SEC. That was like the first thought that went to my head.
Well, okay.
That's
so
bizarre.
This is based on a single read through of the complaint. I'm not a lawyer. I am not an expert on this. Please read it for yourself and reach your own conclusions. But based on my read of the situation, Beba is a clothing company, and they're a clothing company that created a token, which is basically a discount token. And they have these like duffel bags and they look pretty cool to be honest. I kind of want a duffel bag from Beba. And they airdrop these tokens to all sorts of people, hoping to like build attention for Beba and their like new clothing company that like they have like a very small real world footprint. And like I think their innovative idea is like, oh, we'll airdrop people discounts on our stuff. And I forget how many tokens there were, but if you collected 250 tokens, you could like trade them in for, I think like 50% off a duffel bag. And so they gave the tokens away for free to like unsuspecting users. They did this. And after they did this, they said, hey, we're planning to do a second airdrop. Before we do a second airdrop, we want clarity from a court that we're not going to be the subject of an enforcement action because we believe that the SEC's views on what constitutes a security has been changing. And that change is a matter of policy. And that policy has not been subject to the public comment period or any oversight. And that they basically have affected, by changing their opinion of what constitutes a security offering, a policy. And that policy is illegal because it didn't comply with the Administrative Procedures Act. And so Beba is suing the SEC in a Texas court, which I assume is more sympathetic to crypto libertarian ideals. They are based in Texas, which is why that would be their court. And they're looking for a ruling to say, of course, your airdrop of get a discount on duffel bag token is not a security. Go airdrop it, have fun.
Right. Makes sense. So there's the particulars of this case, which I think are probably very sympathetic to Beba as a defendant, that like, okay, there's a clothing company, like doesn't sound like this token could plausibly be a security, but it was also backed by the DeFi Education Fund, which is joining in this complaint against the SEC, presumably because the overall thrust of the case is not just that, hey, the SEC, you are unfairly targeting Beba, but rather that you've been broadly, like your whole regulation by enforcement strategy is broadly in violation of the APA, right, of the Administrative Procedures Act. And so they're kind of using this as like the perfect case to go after the SEC for some of this extra legal enforcement stuff that they have been doing. So it's a very interesting case, and I hope it represents a broader pushback against the SEC. It does seem like public attitude toward the SEC is shifting in favor of this being kind of overly aggressive. Kind of in parallel, there was also a case that dropped today, an indictment against KuCoin, which is like a top 10 exchange-ish, top 10, I think.
It's up there.
A couple of Chinese founders. Yeah, it's up there. A couple of Chinese founders, kind of the standard, money laundering, no KYC, targeting American user stuff, same stuff that Binance was gotten for. So more or less, it's kind of a Wild West exchange that anybody could get on and anyone can trade on. And in that, there was a dual indictments, or I guess dual complaints from both the DOJ and from CFTC. And in the CFTC's charges, they claimed that Ether, Bitcoin, and Litecoin are all commodities, not securities, which is sort of, again, a shot across the bow at the SEC, which people have been speculating is trying to paint Ether as a security as one of their strategies to try to deny the Ether ETF. So curious, get you guys read on what implications this might have for the regulatory picture, given that we now have kind of multiple things in play right now. The SEC trying to fight back against the Ether ETF and probably being unfriendly broadly towards the industry. At the same time, we've got this new Beba lawsuit against the SEC, as well as the CFTC kind of thumping their chest and saying, hey, back off.
Well, I haven't read the KuCoin actual cases that have been filed, but KuCoin had this reputation for anyone who's been around the industry as being one of the exchanges that was pretty loose and would let people trade, and they didn't really care, and you could sign up and trade all sorts of stuff. So, it's not that much of a surprise if it's in the Binance mold, right? Like, if the government was successful at negotiating a settlement with Binance that everybody seemed to approve of, that the government thought was a win, that Binance thought was a win, that investors thought was a win, that was just good for the health of Binance and the ecosystem, then it makes sense that they would basically be copy pasting this as a template onto other exchanges that look similar, right? Like, we haven't yet seen like the exact resolution with like CZ, but like, Binance was up to no good. They're trying to go clean. They're putting the chapter behind them. If KuCoin fits the same overall sort of picture, it makes sense to me that like, they would go through the same process, which is like, hey, there's clearly been some money laundering and bad activities here. Here's the lawsuit, clean it up, and they reach a settlement. They make changes and everybody moves on. And that would be good for everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely a spectrum where I think, Binance and KuCoin are definitely on the far end of that spectrum of they had a huge amount of American users and they've been doing this for quite a while. And they're only very, very recently starting to clean some of it up. And there are other people who were like, okay, they were doing this in 2017, 2018, 2019 maybe, but then like they sort of cleaned it up after that. And I think they're probably going to get less dramatic outcomes when they do inevitably settle. I agree with you though, pretty much everybody who's big will have to settle with the US government for whatever kind of funny business they've been up to. But I do think most of the exchanges will ultimately move on because I don't think we're going to find a lot of stuff that's worse than basically what we've seen now from Binance and KuCoin, which is you were letting anyone trade anything.
I mean, does it get worse than offshore exchanges in like 2017, 2018? Like, like that's like really like the there is like FTX kind of stuff, right? Like, so there are worse things than just sanctions and money laundering. There is like, okay, you were also defrauding people, and I suspect we're not likely to see that, but obviously it's possible that when the DOJ goes digging, they find something worse than just okay, you were doing Wild West shit. Yeah. I mean, offshore exchanges from that era were just bad news.
I mean, my impression of KuCoin was definitely always like listed anything and everything, no matter how low the liquidity would be online. So like, I feel like they were kind of asking for it. I'm surprised it took this long because like, I feel like they must have been the one that everyone was always like something is always fishy about KuCoin. The other thing is the people are still at large. Are they not? Is their whereabouts not known? Or that was the one thing I saw. I don't know enough about KuCoin to you guys probably know more than me.
I think they're both Chinese nationals, the people in the indictment. So I'm guessing they are somewhere in China, or not
China.
Well, sorry, Asia more broadly. But the point being, I mean, KuCoin was also pretty flagrant. Like in the indictment, they didn't have mandatory KYC until this past July 2023, and they were like accepting funds that were coming out of Tornado Cash as of this past winter, and so it's like they weren't even. I think you could have pled ignorance, in sort of the BitBEX 2017 era that like, okay, well, we don't even know how these things are going to sort of fit into existing laws. This just feels like they just like didn't give a fuck, and they just were intentionally not complying, and so. I'm not at all kind of surprised by some of the details.
Yeah, there's always going to be like ratchet exchanges that are pretty far down, like sort of the KuCoins and the Gates and the, whatever that are just super aggressive. And like once those guys clean up, there's a new generation of even more ratchet exchanges that will
the new generation is just on chain, as you were saying.
It's Solana.
Course, the new generation is Solana, which is extremely ratchet, to be clear. Like if you go, there's been a big argument about this.
It has a decentralized validator set. That's a different game.
Well, yes, but then you've got like all these weird racist meme coin stuff that's flying around. So they're like,
that's a good point, right? Like that's something worth bringing up is the fact that in the exchanges now chain case, you do have these things where like the social community and the actual usage on chain may disagree violently. And
right. Okay, so let me give it a bit of exposition. So there's been some drama over the last week and a half that for several days in a row, the top meme coins on Solana all had weirdly racist or anti-Semitic names. And it seemed like it kind of entered into this spiral where like once people realized that racist named meme coins were starting to get popular, they tried to create even more racist meme coins just to like get through the noisy attention gates.
It got really bad.
It got really bad.
Solana became 4chan.
Yes, Solana became 4chan. It got to the point where Dex Screener, which is one of the places where people look for new emerging meme coins and see what their volumes are, Dex Screener announced that they were going to start filtering the top meme coins to not show ones that were particularly egregious. Now, what particularly egregious means by the standards of Dextrainer? I don't know. It got to the point where Anatoly at one point, he tweeted, I think like, fuck the racist incels who are making these meme coins, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. So it got to this weird point, which is, again, it kind of goes to this thing I was talking about before about, okay, there's always going to be a more aggressive exchange in every cycle that does something the other exchanges aren't willing to do. And on some level, like, part of what makes DeFi powerful is that, yeah, you don't need to ask anybody to get listed. And it is this kind of Cambrian environment where just the raw competition for attention is it. And if it happens to win through like racist incel meme coins,
I thought
fine.
one of the funnier ones today was the bridge coin about the collapse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I feel bad saying it because like people are missing from the
geez.
bridge, right? But it was
Oh,
like
God.
I the Solana meme coin thing is crazy. It's almost like a news.
That is
feed.
horrible. Yeah, it really
It is 4chan.
It is.
It is 4chan. It is 4chan.
It's 100%. How can you, like, it is just pure, like, this just like condensation of pure attention, right? How can you just take the spotlight effect and turn into a fucking laser on whatever word or series of words most people will Keynesian beauty contest their way into saying, other people must also be thinking about that.
Think about it this way. This is a funny mechanism design version of inverse of sort of like Facebook or Google, right? Facebook or Google, I bid on keywords so to try to match people, keywords or types, to try to match people with their, with ads. But here I'm just cutting out the middleman of the matching of the ads. Instead, the attention economy is just directly onto the asset. I don't need this like auction and a third party. I'm like, the asset itself is kind of like the ad. And I kind of feel like that's a cool aspect of meme coins. They're sort of like advertisements. They really feel like advertisements.
It's very true. It's very true. The name is effectively the ad. And if the name is
and
sufficiently
the picture,
mimetic,
right? Like the Bowden thing, right?
The picture,
like the picture.
Yes, right. The picture and the name. And that's
all these
basically
meme
all
coins
you have to go off
are
of.
is a token name, a token symbol, and an icon.
Maybe a metadata address to an image.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
There is like a economy and game around, tickers even for traditional equities, right? Like think about all the games people play around, getting their filing to get like, I want the HODL ticker or like the BIDL ticker.
There's a DeFi ticker and it has nothing to do with DeFi.
Yeah.
Yes. There's also GPT-3 ticker, which is an AI basket of companies in Europe.
In Europe.
Wait, can there be numbers on US listed?
I don't know about US. That's why this is like somewhere in Europe that
Because isn't like in Japan,
Sure,
like
it's
their
worth a lot.
tickers are just only numbers? It's like,
Yes.
the stock
Yes.
is like
That's smart.
1742.
That's smart. But then there's lucky numbers. So then you still have still have
But-
competition,
But I think
Round
I
numbers.
think it's like interesting to think about meme coins as ads because like it is attention economy type of things, right? Like the attention to the thing, and then suddenly everyone's like making this culture around it. It's not so different to like influencers, except it like kind of gets rid of the like detritus around it, right? Like the users are directly
there are
involved
literally
in the
influencers
financialization.
who are associated with these meme coins. I mean, the thing about it, like we can talk about it in an abstract way, but in reality, it is no different than NFTs, where there's now a well-understood playbook for, okay, you've got the insiders, you could talk to these groups first, where all the big whales are who buy the meme coins early and then pump it to their groups. And there's people who basically are middlemen who will come in and say, oh, look, I'll show you how to get your meme coin into the right groups and market it for you so that you can, at this point, the meme coin game, they've had so many reps of doing this that it's very well understood what the playbook is. And that is part of the reason why I was saying this a couple episodes ago, that I don't think the meme coin game is fundamentally sustainable because I think the rake is just too high. Like I think insiders are just making too much money off of doing this over and over again, with the churn being this egregious. But I guess in some sense, like, it does ask the question.
I could imagine a Mr. Beast meme coin, when he like gives away money or gives away an item. Like you could kind of do the same type of things directly, right?
Like, look, you can keep doing this if the numbers keep growing. If either the influencers who are launching meme coins get bigger and bigger, like someday a Mr. Beast launches a fucking meme coin, or if just more and more people are entering the fray and willing to buy the meme coins, right? But as long as the meme coin game keeps working and people feel like they're making money and there's enough positive sum expectation of profit that people keep doing it, even despite the rake, and despite all the middlemen and despite all this other shit that's going on in between, then I think, yeah, it continues on, and it clearly continues on for some time.
This is why 2 episodes ago, when I said meme coins are not necessarily zero sum, and you guys all laughed at me, I tried to hold my ground. Thank you, Haseeb, for coming around.
Sorry. I misused
I buy
the
the advertisement.
I didn't mean to say
I really
positive
buy the
sum.
advertisement.
Yeah, I don't think it's positive sum. I think what I meant to say was that the net amount of buyers is growing over time, but that's not the same thing as positive sum, to be clear.
Mm-hmm. I think you're making an argument that meme coins themselves may not necessarily be zero sum.
I think they're negative sum. I think the argument I'm making is that they are negative sum on the whole.
Yeah, without wealth creation, there is an inherent drag on the system, right? There's always energy being sucked out, and like that can only really sustain for so long. So like, I don't. You're right that like maybe a Mr. Beast meme coin would do well, but like, I just don't know how much longevity this whole cycle actually has.
Right, but hypothetically, if there was a Mr. Beast meme coin, and this is not investment advice for Mr. Beast, so please do not make a Mr. Beast meme coin. Like, we will all quit the show. If there was a Mr.
We'll
Beast,
all quit the show because Mr. Beast airdropped us. Not kidding.
That is probably good enough to retire on.
Yeah. No, that'll just be the end of crypto, and we'll just all have to.
Yeah, Mr. B, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are listening, we will absolutely help you figure out what Telegram groups to go to for Mr. Beast coin. We know the playbook.
Okay, so hypothetically, if Mr. Beast coin reaches a $10 billion market cap, and everybody believes that it's permanently worth $10 billion because of Mr. Beast, right? And like, he's like personally out there like every day, like Mr. Beast is the best coin, whatever. If it actually reaches a $10 billion market cap in a perpetual way, would you not say that $10 billion of wealth has been created?
No, I would not say that. So, okay, a few things. One, obviously you don't know that it's going to be perpetually $10 billion.
Fine, let's just say it's for a month. Let's just say for
for 1 month, have we created $10 billion of wealth if it holds $10 billion for 1 month?
Yeah, if it goes, all of the holders of
zero
Beast
after that.
No, forget about what it does in the future. If there's $10 billion of Beast coin, and all of the people on Solana who got airdrop Beast coin are like, hey, I have $5,000 worth of Beast coin, and they are that much on paper wealthier, would you not say we've created $10 billion of wealth? Even though it may be temporary, we have created $10 billion worth of wealth.
I would say no. It depends on, has that capital been pulled from other meme coins where people are selling their Doge and selling their this and their that to put it into Mr. Beast coin? Which that sounds plausible to me, that they would be a drag on a lot of other meme coins.
But it doesn't take
amount of meme coin activity.
The net capital
be zero sum.
The net capital could be like $4, right? Because like if no one's willing to sell it and only a couple purchases have gone in to get it to that market cap, it's not like $10 billion of capital has gone into Beast coin. A fraction of a fraction of a fraction has gone into it to create the market cap.
Granted. Okay. Let me give you a different counterexample. Okay. Let's say you and I, we launch a meme coin. Okay. We don't tell anybody about it. And I trade 1 unit of this meme coin for, basically $10 billion market cap. You trade another one for $11 billion market cap. Now between the two of us, we're 5 billionaires.
But forgetting
Have we created wealth? Have we created wealth?
No. But if it's not,
why not?
Because it's artificial. But if there's an actual market for Beast coin, let's just say it's like actually trading for like a month or two. It's on
because
Binance,
liquidity.
Metaphorically. Yeah. Let's just say it is legit trading at a $10 billion market cap and it's on multiple exchanges and it's not like 2 people trading paper. I would argue that the answer is yes. There is an incremental $10 billion of wealth here on the planet Earth. And I think you can replace the word Mr. Beast coin with Bitcoin and you get the exact same analysis. Like, would you say that Bitcoin, which is currently at a market cap of, I don't know, close to $2 trillion, has created $2 trillion of wealth on planet Earth? Or do you think it hasn't?
I think that's a complicated question. I think here's what I'd say. I would grant you that it's possible that if basically Mr. Beast says, I'm creating Mr. Beast coin and a bunch of people put money in it, they don't put that much money in it, but let's say they put, there's $500 million of buying pressure and it makes Mr. Beast coin go to $10 billion. Okay. And Now everybody has $10 billion of what they presume is liquid capital. I would argue that this is more like an event of money creation. Like it's an expansion of the money supply, but it's not actually a creation of wealth, right? The economy has become no more productive. We have no more chickens. We have no more cows. We have no more roads. We have no more electronics. We have no more TV shows. We have nothing more that anybody can consume than they could consume before. We just have more things that people are willing to accept in exchange for money. So if anything, like the creation of Mr. Beast Coin would effectively be a debasement of everyone else's money in all other forms of money.
Is Bitcoin a debasement of all other money?
In some sense, yes. Like you can't eat Bitcoin, right? You can't do anything productive with Bitcoin besides redenominate wealth. That is explicitly the goal of people who are Bitcoin maxis. They say, look, fiat is worthless. Traditional gold is, old and stayed, and it's not going to be around forever once we mine asteroids or, whatever the fuck. So Bitcoin is the right way. Like you want to be early to the way in which we're all going to be redenominating our wealth, but Bitcoin doesn't make us wealthier. Like they might argue, look, the fiat system makes us less wealthier because it aggravates business cycles or crashes or bubbles or whatever.
I think the thing about meme coins is like there is a sense in which it's clear they don't have any like cash flows or expected future utility directly, but they may have, if it's say like an influencer, some type of like access to things, right? Like if Mr. Beast coin owners suddenly can like get content earlier with it, like all the Web3.
Oh come on, please no.
Not that I'm a big fan of that.
No,
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that stuff personally. Like I think like DeFi is the only thing that really is honest to goodness thing in crypto. But you could sort of imagine that like maybe one or two of them could like have
Tarun,
this kind of thing.
You're cracking, man.
I saw Chris Dixon last week, and it must have just like the emanate his essence emanated, and now my head is hurting.
As soon as you try to add utility to your NFTs or revenue to your DeFi protocol, you just nuke it. No one wants to see reality.
Revenue to your DeFi protocol is different. If there's risk that it's compensating for, right?
Okay.
No. Adding utility to a meme coin is like turning on the lights at like a rave, Like it's just like, no, don't even, why are you even talking about this?
Let's see, when's the last time you've gone to a rave?
I might actually guess the answer is never, but I can be
that is correct. I've never.
He's the one who's turning on the lights.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm the one staying in my lit bedroom. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I saw some very cringe takes on Twitter this week about how meme coins are, but by investors who are trying to like rationalize their meme coin purchases about like, oh, they're this huge, crazy go-to-market strategy. But I was reading these things, and that was when I was like, okay, people are like drinking the Kool-Aid too much that like meme coins will turn into some type of thing.
I went to a very professional dinner last week where it was a very institutional audience, and it was a lot of like very sophisticated market participants. And obviously like the conversation was 100% about meme coins, right? In addition to like market structure and like, liquidity and like all these like important topics. And there was a lot more stories than you would expect of institutions. And I say institutions, I mean like a crypto hedge fund or like, a crypto trading type organization of some kind, or like a family office. There was a lot more stories than you would expect of extremely credible and extremely sophisticated market participants buying meme coins. And
on their PAs. Or like on their personal accounts.
Well, no.
Personal accounts,
I think now it's moving beyond the personal. That's the thing that's crazy, right?
Really?
And then you're seeing this like faux intellectualization
where it's like, oh, we have a junior analyst and he made
to dox people for their bad decisions.
Yeah, I'm not going to dox people.
I mean, like what kinds of, are these like family offices or these like hedge funds or like what are you talking about?
Family offices type stuff. Like,
okay, well that's that doesn't surprise me that
no. But there are funds buying meme coin. I told you, DGen had this public purchase, right? Like on base.
So we saw one confirmation. One confirmation bought some DGen.
So my point,
like, there are serious.
There's more than that. There's more than just them. There's and the best part about it is the mental gymnastics to distort the like. I bought the meme coin. I have bags, and I'm hoping they go up to like, oh, like this is the future of some type of like utility creating thing. And like that jump those people are making is much larger than the tiny jump I said that like maybe they could find something, like pudgy penguins in Walmart.
Correct. There are analysts at firms writing memos right now about why their firm should buy fill in the blank token.
Yeah, and some of them are writing in public. It feels a little like 2021 NFTs, where like people are like coming up with some like over intellectualization of it.
It feels more like ICOs to me. It feels like basically ICOs.
But ICOs had this pretense of like, we don't know what all could be done with smart contracts.
True.
In 2024, okay. You can't fucking say that anymore, right? Like we know the limitations and the things that work well, and it's kind of an ICO boom. Like as much of a joke as Dentacoin was, there's some sense in which, I don't know, maybe like every doctor payment in the world somehow goes on a blockchain, and like, this was pre having like tons of stable coins that people, whatever, right? So there's even a tiny bit of belief. Here, there's like literally nothing, and people are like jumping over themselves to fucking construct some insane mental gymnastics as to why the meme coin future is worth investing in. And I think it's because a lot of them lost money on shitty AI stuff. I made this claim to someone the other day, which is the 95th percentile. This is just a conjecture that I think will be true when these funds return. The 95th percentile of AI funds is going to do, like, everyone 95th percentile below is going to be horrible, because like everyone's so overly concentrated in like the top names, and all of these like kind of mid-tier investments just didn't work because they're so capital intensive, and those funds are going to do horrible. But the 95th percentile crypto XAI meme coin is going to outperform all the 95th percentile AI funds, which is like even more ridiculous. But it's very likely true.
I mean, we'll see what happens when you actually have to return capital out of these crypto AI coins. But yes, I do agree
take my
with you.
bridge coin?
Can
I distribute in kind? Can I distribute bridge coin?
Yeah, unfortunately, your LPs are not in Solana, so that's going to be tough.
I don't know. That's not that. I feel like that.
Well,
that's
maybe some of your LPs are on Solana. Our LPs are not on Solana.
I'm saying that's going to change. I bet you. Like I feel like Solana's reached a certain threshold at this point that it's a wallet people are going to all have.
Kind of. Yes, individuals have it, right? But it's a very different thing for an institution to be able to take custody of some Solana meme coins. I think
like CCTP launching on Solana today is a great example of like, I think the institutions with themselves will also have MPC wallets on I think we've passed the point. Like Solana definitely is solidified like Ethereum of that. That's inevitable for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I more or less agree. The interesting, this whole thing about hedge funds writing memos on meme coin buying. It is true that, like, even NFTs had at least some patina of a story about how they were going to become this new cultural revolution, and the crypto punks were going to become like these rare artifacts. And
I still believe
like
that.
there was a story. I mean, I don't disagree with it. I think there's a story that you could tell about these things. Bored Apes are going to build a whole metaverse, and there's going to be this entire ecosystem built around these things.
Don't believe that anymore.
Meme coins. Right. With meme coins, there is no such thing. Maybe with Mr. Beast coin, there would be something like that you could underwrite. But with most of these meme coins, they are really just pure attention economy. And it's like this ruthless battle every single day to see what will people still pay attention to tomorrow.
But I feel like the reason I brought up the social media thing is that does feel a little bit like engagement farming, right? Like these meme coins do have a little bit of the like social network engagement farming aspect to it. And I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some, maybe it's not Farcaster or something, but there's some social network thing that may come out of meme coins that might actually like blend the two. And again, this is not me. I just railed against people writing these memos, and now I sound like I'm one of them. But I think there is, to me, this attention economy thing aspect of meme coins is crazy, right? The fact that people are making them in response to world events is like that. I don't think that was true before.
It is. It's funny because you're talking about what if Mr. Beast launches a meme coin, right? If you remember NFTs NFTs started as celebrities dropping NFT collections, right? So it was like, Snoop Dogg and Grimes and all these people who are going to do these like artistic collections. That's how it started. And then it ended with just any rando makes, 10,000 monkeys and then we sell it on the blockchain and we print money. And with meme coins, it started with randos on the blockchain, total anons just dropping, random stupid things. And it will be very funny if it ends with like Mr. Beast drops like the one last meme coin and that's like the end of the meme coin cycle with, kind of one big last hurrah before, we decide that meme coins are not the thing anymore.
Speaking of a big hurrah, we should talk about one last thing before we go of the news that's actively happening right now, which is the blast hack of $62 million.
So I have not caught what's going on here. Does someone want to give exposition?
Yeah, so Blast layer 2 that for many months didn't allow withdrawals, and there was all this controversy. I think we talked about it on a show before. Blast did launch. They did have some issues upon Ethereum's 4844 upgrade, but other than that, it's like kind of working. But then they had a protocol in Blast called Munchable, I believe.
Protocol is generous.
Sorry, whatever. I mean, the hack was ridiculous.
It's like there was a website NFT drop. Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to be respectful of the Munchable community. And basically, they got hacked. Apparently, supposedly, what people are saying online is they were infiltrated by North Korea. And this has happened a few times to a couple of crypto companies where North Korean engineers will like work as contract employees and then leave some breadcrumbs for later when they want to attack your protocol. And, some of the internet sleuths are claiming that this was like a North Korea inside thing. The interesting question is this is sort of like the DAO hack for Blast. So is
the claim that Munchables is a like legit protocol, but they were infiltrated by fake employees, or that it was a honeypot created by North Korea?
The former. I think it's too early to know whether it's it. But like the claims that people are writing right now are this is why it's an active situation. And I think the interesting thing about this thing is also we're going to see what happens. So a lot of layer 2 protocols have been doing this thing that they've been calling quote unquote native yield, where they, instead of the bridged asset being Ethereum, they'll take the Ethereum, go earn yield in some other protocol, whether it's Athena, whether it's staked ETH, whether it's restaking. And the interesting thing is by doing that level of abstraction, they actually have control over the ETH that's locked in. And you have this kind of weird thing of like, hey, well, maybe they can be like the DAO hack and revert because they're not, their bridge is not holding raw ETH. Their bridge is holding this other thing that the multisig in their case controls. And so, I think this is going to be the big test. This is going to be the DAO hack of layer 2s, perhaps, where it becomes a question of like, how centralized really are they, and will they use their centralized power in these kind of cases? And
yeah, to your point, and I think Zach XPG was doing some forensics work. It looks like there was a particular dev that deployed a malicious contract as part of the Munchables team. Basically just an upgradable proxy that they were able to upgrade. So maybe an inside job in that respect, but I think it does. The point that you're bringing up is like, what does the Blast team do? I think there's also this issue where as soon as you exercise control, or you show that you can exercise control, then you're liable for, all other sort of hacks in the future, right? That's like happening to Binance when people are trying to exit through the bridge on BSC versus like, maintaining neutrality and not sort of having that obligation thrust on you, but maybe Blast isn't really in the position to sort of back out of it.
Yeah, that's a really messy situation for a layer 2. That's
I think layer 2s are going to have this DAO hack type of thing become a real issue, right? Like it is going to be the thing of like, hey, they're kind of centralized in some weird ways that they could theoretically revert some of these types of transactions, and the question of whether they do it becomes a socio-philosophical problem.
I mean, it's OP stack, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if it's OP stack, then the fraud proofs like I think they just landed fraud proofs in like a beta
no. But
branch
the other problem
like
here is that
testing them for
this native yield thing means that they're not holding ETH in the bridge. They're holding stETH, which the multisig can control.
Right. Tarun, don't you remember we had this argument about native yield? I don't know if you remember, but the episode that we first talked about Blast, you were like, I think every blockchain ever is going to do this, and this is the new
I think
meta.
they're going to do it because the financial
so complicated
incentive.
and there are so many moving parts that it's going to make shit like this so manual that it will be a nightmare and people won't want to do it. That's what I said.
But my argument was not that. My argument was like, I agree with you on that. But my argument was that the financial incentive of like it becomes this like game theory thing of like once one does it, it's like the equilibrium is to defect and like everyone does it, right? It's not the type of thing where it's like, oh, some parties won't, some will. Like it feels like the type of thing where like eventually the yield wins. All right, sounds like we gotta.
All right, we're up on time, so we gotta jump here, but. Well, I guess we'll continue the debates as always next time. I think we've been talking about meme coins for 4 weeks in a row, and my guess is that it's not going to stop. So that is just going to be the recurring topic of this cycle.
It's just like when FTX was blowing up and we had like 9 episodes in a row where all we could talk about was FTX. I feel like we're getting to the end of...
No. I think it's more like ICOs where you will just be talking about them because it'll be just the thing for like the next 2 years. Like there will just be nothing else going on that is as dynamic as what's happening with.
Oh, Lord help us.
Anyway, yeah, Lord help us. All right, cool. That's it. See you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.